Hello, welcome to Code and Blocks Automation Lab. This is Sharful. Today we're going to learn how to use data-driven framework in TestNG. In fact, like how to read data from Excel in Selenium in using a TestNG framework, unit framework. So in our last tutorial, hope you have seen this. If you haven't seen, please watch that tutorial first, otherwise you will not understand this part. So in our last tutorial we have seen how to read data from Excel and Selenium using Apache POI. So it's the same thing we're going to use, how to read data from Excel, so which is the part of data driven. That's called the data driven. When you read the data or you import the data from an external source like Excel in your framework, that's called the data driven framework, right? So in our last video we have seen how you can retrieve the data from Excel, fetch data from Excel in your Selenium using Apache POI. So we're going to do the same thing, but we'll integrate this concept with a TestNG framework, TestNG unit framework, because we in our corporate life we definitely, when you have a framework, Selenium framework, it's most of them we all use TestNG plugin with our framework to make it more dynamic, to give us a more control in our test. So we know this, that like TestNG is a unit framework that gives you control on your automation. I mean, I'm not going to go in details about TestNG, but like example I can give you, like if you run you have a 200 test cases as a smoke test out of 500 test cases, right? So so you can make this kind of flexibility in your framework using TestNG plugin, right? So we're going to see in your framework, if you have a TestNG plugin using a TestNG, how we can still do the same job, like fetch data from Excel or external source in your Selenium automation. Okay, let's go to, so this is the the previous video, so please watch this one first. So let's go to, this is my framework, like this is the last example we did. So we have a two package data driven test. So it has the class only for the test class, and another one is for utility for Excel. So we had a one utility class like data reader class, as well as our Excel file, right? So let's first convert our framework, our project, our framework to TestNG, right? So from here, from help, we know it's install new software. I believe we all know how to convert your framework to TestNG. So you have to add the plugin, TestNG plugin in your framework. You have to make sure that part, right? So select this one. I believe we all know. So here is TestNG. Select this and click on next. Just let it go. I'm going to pause the video and I will get back just when it's done. Okay, then go to next. Okay, and just finish the that part, and after that you have to confirm. You may need to restart your Eclipse. If it's asks, you can do it, but anyways, after you reopen your Eclipse, you can just confirm that TestNG has been added to your Eclipse, to your framework. So if you go window and then preference, just you can type TestNG, or you can see there is a TestNG here, right? It should be there. So as long as you have a TestNG there, it means you have the plugin on your system, right? Okay, and after that you can just convert. You can right click and you can say TestNG, and you can just convert your project, convert to TestNG. So just click on finish. So it will create your TestNG XML file. So your project now, it's have the TestNG knowledge. So anyways, in our last project, right, let me reopen this Excel file. Okay, yeah, open it. So this is our Excel sheet. If you have seen our last video, you should familiar with this. Like you have a column, first name, last name, email, phone number, then course. I added this another extra column, but that's nothing changed. It's and then value is for multiple set of data, like in row 2, 3, and 4. And the application was, I believe you know that this is the registration form, and this is the data from Excel file will be imported and pasted over here. Will be using the send key method. So first name, last name, then email, and you can see the phone number, and then from a drop down we'll select Selenium automation. Okay, for all sets of, there's 3 sets of data. For all of them, the drop down option would be always same. So this is our exercise, and for the same exercise we did the last video, just this time we are going to use we are going to see that how we can do this data driven framework with the TestNG plugin. Okay, so let's create a, so previously we have a class. I will keep it the same class, is fine. The same this is the utility class. Okay, data reader class. So it has a lots of method. I believe you all remember, right? There's all this method. It has a lots of method, like get row count, get cell data, that will help you to fetch the data from a specific cells in a sheet. So set cell data, it will help you to import the data. Add sheet, you can add more sheet in your Excel a book workbook. Remove sheet. So there's a lots of methods. All methods are available over here. We're going to use, we can use those methods using Apache POI. I hope you have remembered that. And then to use the Apache POI, we have to added all the this is, you can see all the jar files related with the Apache POI, all those things, right? So please watch my last video. If you don't watch that one, if you move it over here, you will not understand, because I'm not going to show explain again the Apache POI, what to get all those jar files and import to the project. I'm not going to cover that part because it's covered my first video, first tutorial. So here this is my test cases, right? So I'm going to create another new test cases for this new exercise, like the test using the TestNG plugin. So let's create a new, I would say, new class, and give a name. I will give a name, since this is the form for this form. It's for the code and box side. So, and registration form, so I will give a name, say code and box reg, and the test. This is the test class. Okay, and I will put, there will be, yeah, since this is the TestNG, so we're going to use, since this is the TestNG based, our test cases is based on TestNG, so there will be no main method. So we're going to use all the annotation, right, in TestNG. I believe you all know about the TestNG. So here inside the class, so let's I'm going to copy my all the common things. So let's first, I would say, the prerequisite, like launching the application, initialize the web driver, launching the application, maximize the window, all those things is a prerequisite. So all those things I can put a before method annotation. So let's before method. So I believe you all know what the before method annotation does in TestNG, right? So it will invoke the method tie with this before method annotation will execute first in your class level, in this class, right? So here I'm going to say public void, say give a name setup method, since it is a method related with all the initialize steps. Say from this one I will come, or I can copy paste from my previous. So here it's all about, like, you know, the driver initialize steps, where the driver is located, you know, the relationship between our Chrome driver class and a web driver interface, and a URL of the URL of this the application, all those things, right? So let's copy there and paste it here and here. So hover our mouse, you know, add TestNG library, then add the package. So library been added to your project. Now hover again, and import the package for before method, right? And here you're going to, we're saying, so let's do one thing. Let's make this one the driver variable as a public, since we're going to, you know, use this driver with a more method we'll create. So we have to make this driver as a public, so that this driver can be used any other method too, right? So, and let's move this guy, so we don't need this one anymore, since it's already driver type. I know it's a web driver. And here probably I would say let's put some driver dot manage dot just put some, I would say, some timeouts, driver dot manage dot timeouts dot, so page load timeout, and here I would say let's put it like 20 seconds, right? And the unit, the time unit, time dot seconds, right? And then again driver dot implicitly wait, let's add some implicitly wait, driver dot manage dot timeouts dot implicitly wait, let's put the time, say maybe I would say 10 seconds, and then time unit, what's the time unit? Unit is seconds, right? Good. So this is my before method, and let's add a after method, so which is will execute at the end after execute all the methods in this class, right? Which is our tear down method. We know after method is a public void tear down, right? And then so what's tear down? It's a driver dot maybe close or quit, it's up to you, whatever you use, right? For this is, since this is just you know, one class, so that's fine. But you know, if you have a lots of window open one after another, then it's better to use quit method. For now it's a one. Okay, import it. Okay, good, done. Okay, let's add now actual test, right? Test annotation. So in the test annotation, we're going to create a method, give a name, say public, say void. I would say this is you know, the test cases for registration form. So I would say give a name registration test, yeah, registration test, right? And then here, so this is our actual test method. Here I would say let's hover our mouse, import the package for the test. So what will happen here? If you see our previous the test cases for our last video, last exercise, it's the same. This is the test class, and from here, inside this we need all those the enter data to the side. So this is the this is all those things. Selenium automation. Maybe I'm going to just copy. I'll explain you. So here, this is all the locator, right? This is the locator. So the first I'm using the just clear the field, and this is the locator for the first name, right? So this is the locator for the first name. So I already showed you how to do it in my last video. So locator for the first name, locator for the second name, your last name, email, phone number, and also to select a static value like Selenium automation, right? So here what I see, so this is the locator for the first name, and send key I pass a parameter instead of typing something like first name, because we're going to have actual value for this first name from our Excel sheet. In our Excel sheet there is a first name, so we'll get the shortfall first set for the shortfall, and second set will get the John, and third set will type this Shunil. So all this value for the first name will fetch from this Excel sheet. So for the column, it's a first name. That's why we pass the first name here, right? First name from so this for the first name, this column, all the values will hold in over here for this first name. Okay. So we'll see. I mean, and I already, if you've seen my last video, you have seen that. Okay, we use this, the method from this our data reader method. That's utility classes inside. There's a lots of method to sell data, to get the data from the cell. From what cell? From a specific cell like first name, and from what sheet? This is the test data sheet. You can see there's a test data sheet. Right, from this sheet, from this column, so we can get a data for a specific cell. What's a cell? So what is the cell? Locator is number 2, then row 3, row 4. So that's the way, here is the row number, and we run a loop. So we're going to use the same logic in this exercise also. So this first name will come also from here. So we put, when we get the data by using this code, we put this one in a first name variable, and which is a string term, and this first name is passed over here. So it's exactly we're going to do the same thing. So except just we're not putting all the code in a one class. Since now we are using TestNG, with this code will be put in separate utility class, so that and we'll get the data information from that class regarding this code, using a data provider annotation. We know this data provider annotation is used to get data from it's a part of TestNG, and also it's used to get data from external resource for a specific test class. So you'll see. So here, so let's, for now, what I'm going to do here, just to make sure this I have everything right. Okay, so we use the select class so that we can use any one of the method to select the drop down value. So I'm going to use select course. So let's I will use here not select by value, I will use select by visible. Instead of this, I will use s dot select by, there's any method you can use, select by index, select by value, select by visible text. So for the visible text, what's the visible text? So here I have course, right? This is the course, so I'm going to use the course column. You'll see this, I'm going to use course. So this is the variable. Okay, select by visible, change to select by visible. oh sorry, this is, let's put this in. So this is the locator for this drop down. I put in a variable. Let's make it a different variable, select course, maybe select course. So, and this variable have the knowledge about the locator, the drop down locator. So here put this, oh no, what happened? So just copy this variable and pass this over here, right? And now here the course, we don't know about this course, so we'll pass the course value exactly, from our other class, from our utility class. So when you use you get fetch data from Excel, you have how many columns you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? For 5 columns, and each column you have a multiple sets of data. So for each column, and the value from where it comes from, different row. Value is located to the row 2, 3, 4, right? For first name column. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 column. So whatever the number of column, you have to pass parameter for this test method, the same number of parameter for the test method. And also you have to follow the sequence. Like if it's a first name, if your column is a first name first, then last name, then email, the order you want to follow to enter the data in your application, right? So you have a first name first, and then last name, then email. So this is the order. So you have to make sure your column it's that same pattern, same way. And also your parameter in your code, in your test method, have to be follow the same way. So we have a 5 column, so we need a 5 parameter over here, and those parameter, it's like a argument. I mean, it's a variable and data type for this variable, and those variable will hold the value for each column, will hold all the value for this column. So each parameter will hold the value for all the sets of value, right? So here I'm going to declare the parameter, and those, let's see, just stay with me, string, the first one. So that's why here I can say the first name I pass. So whatever the first name, it's here, it should be the value from the Excel sheet, the first name. So here let's put the same parameter, same, and then that's why now its error will be disappear. Then for the next one, let's say string type is a string, second one, right? And next one, string, what's the next one? It's email address. So this email, because this email address, this variable it's nothing, we haven't declared yet, that's why there was an error. So we're declaring here, and it still doesn't have, this variable doesn't have the actual value from the Excel. We'll see how we can get the actual value for the first name, last name, email address, and pass to here. We'll see. I mean, if you watch already my last video, you will be easily understand. And then phone number, say let's put the phone number also string type. Then the last one also type is string, and what's the variable? The variable is course, right? Is the course, right? So now, so here for this variable first name, all this parameter, where those parameter will get the value. So to get the value, we need another method with a data provider annotation. That's a part of TestNG, it's called. So we'll say data provider. You will just type data provider. So data provider is a annotation. It's a part of TestNG, and with this provider, just remember, every annotation when you use, there will be method. So data provider is one type of annotation in TestNG, where you create another method, and that method is help you to get actual data from your Excel. If you want to retrieve the data from external resource like from Excel, or you can pass even data here. You can directly pass, you can initialize your method with the sets of data, and from here it will go to your actual test method. Let's see. Okay, so here you can say public. Let's create a method. It's called public void, and I will give a method name like get data, and then method. Okay, so this method job is to get data and passes to in this test, in this actual test method. How? So here so this method name is get data, right? So we can use, with this test annotation, we're going to use data provider again, the keyword or reserve word. This time it's a D is lowercase, you have to just remember, and this data is uppercase, right? Data provider equals to, what's the method name? The method name is get data. So this is the method name. Okay, this method will get the data from the Excel. This method is job, and then from here, when in the actual test method, when it needs the actual data, where it will get the data, the testing data will get the data from this get data method. So we haven't done anything inside that get data method, but I'm just saying that's the way it's going to work. So let's have our mouse, import the data provider package. Okay, so we have to write the code inside. So now let's we know this, we have a data that's a data reader, the utility class. So it has all this necessary or utility method that can help us to get the data from Excel using Apache POI, right? So let's I'm going to create another I would say another package. Let's create another package so that you'll see I will give a name, say it's just a general utility package, so package test.utility, utility, right? And then finish it. And inside this package, I'm going to create another method, like very general method, Java class. So class. I will give a name, say general util class. Okay, general util class, like it's a class. So it's a class where we'll have all the util method, and from this method and from this class, the method we will have, we can call all this necessary method anywhere we need in our testing framework. Okay, so and other one is like, don't confuse this. This is just the class util class, and this is a utility for Excel, right? I put the Excel, and also you can put this data reader, that's Java, this class also you can put in a separate package, or you can put inside over here too. It's up to you. So let's go, and here what I'm going to do in general util, I will create a what I'm going to do here, I will create a method, say public, let's make a static method so that I can call this method directly to my testing class. So it's static, if it's a static method, you can call class name dot method name. That's the way you can directly call, right? So make it a static, public static, say give a void, let's give a name get data from Excel. get data from Excel. So this is the method, and then here what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a try catch block. I hope you all know the try catch block, right? Try catch block is a special block that you use when you're trying to something inside a try block, that it may work or may not work. So if it doesn't work, your compiler will move to the catch block, so it will not throw in an exception. So to avoid any exception, people use try catch block. I hope you know already. This is a part of Java. I'm not going to explain in details. Here I'm going to call this class. In general, I'm going to call this class. I would say, so create an object of this class, so that I can use all the method inside that class, right? Because that class have a lots of method and will help me to get the data from Excel, right? So I have to use that class, right? So to use that class, I have to create an object of that class. So part of Java, I guess you all know, right? And what's the okay? Let's give a name here, probably X leader, Excel reader, and what's the return type? Return type would be the same class name, right? Same class name. So hover your mouse, import the package. Now let's make this variable, the Excel leader. This one is, let's make this one as a static. So let's make this one as a static. So you'll say static, right? And then static. So we don't need this part, so we already know. Okay. Hover mouse, there is an argument necessary. So what's the argument? This class expect the directory path of our Excel, right? So we did it in our last class, right? In our last lecture. Here you can see, when you create the object of that class, you pass this, right? This is the path of our Excel directory, right? Let's check one more time. So this is the path of our Excel directory, the Excel sheet over we have, right? Copy it, close it, go back to general over here, and it's expect string. Here we go, right? So because I'm using try, because if any reason this directory path is not right, it's not find the this Excel file, so then it will throw an exception. So so that it doesn't throw an exception, not stop our execution, it will move to our catch block, right? So catch. So in the catch block, we can print the exception, actual error, if it doesn't find this the Excel file in this directory, right? So we'll see exception. We can use the exception class, and then use the object of E, and then we can use any method in exception class. So let's use the print, right? We all know print stack trace, right? Good. So this is that's why I use try catch block. And after that, it's the same code, we're going to put it there. Here from my last class. So here test data from Excel using parameterization. So it's the same thing we're going to use. So first we're going to get the total, how many row we have in our test data. In this sheet, how many the row we have with the sets of data, like 1, 2, 3, 3 rows, right? Except the first one. First one is all columns. The actual data, it's in 3 rows. So if we know, we can run a loop for to get the data, as long as we have the rows have the data, right? So that's why we need, and we put this one, we use this this variable, right, and call the method from our data reader class. One of the method is called get row count, and it accept a parameter like what's your Excel sheet name, like our Excel sheet name test data. So this is the test data, and then you put in a variable, it's called I give a name total row. So total row will have the knowledge about how many rows actually we have the values or data. So this is our total, so right, and then we run a for loop, and we started for loop with the initialize with the row num. It's a variable initialized with the 2 because our actual data is started from the second row, that's why. And it should be less than equal, and then row plus plus, and then for each row, this is the data belongs to a specific cell, right? This is called cell. So this like shortfall, to get this value from this cell, we have to select this cell. So we have a method in our this data reader class. We have a method, it's called get cell. So I use the object reference Excel reader, and then get cell method, and this method expect 3 parameter. It expects there is a 3 argument. Like argument is like, first is the what's the name of your sheet, it's like test data, and then what's the name of the column name. It's column name like first name for this one, and then what's the value of the row for this column, where is the data belongs to. So row 2 column in this, so this will select this one, so automatically we'll get the data from there. So similarly for the we use the same method to get the data for a specific cell for last name, right? Last name, for email, like for phone number, right? Same thing, I just added extra another value for course for this for this test, right? So here let's so let's copy this, all those things. Course, so I'm just copying, so whole thing I'm going to copy this one, whole thing just copy and paste in my general util class right here. So this is the row, and then you can see now this the course, phone number, so those are the variable I declare over here, and all these variables like email variable will have the value actual data from where, from this test data cell, from this test data sheet, email column, and row number is based on what's the row number here. If it's a row number first 2, it will get the value for the row number 2 for email column, and then when increase the value for row number 3, it will move to the row number 3, and it will come to for the email, will get this value. For the row number 4, it will get the value from here. So eventually it will get all sets of value for all the columns, right? That's the idea. And pass this variable to my test class, where in get data method. We'll see. So here what I'm going to do, there's a few more things I have to do. Here I will declare a array list. Oh, wait a minute. I think sorry, I did. So here I will declare a array list. So array list is part of Java. So I hope array list it's nothing, it's another class where you can store multiple sets of data, different type of multiple sets of data. It's like an array, it works exactly array, but it's a benefit, it's like you can add or remove anytime any data inside this array. You can remove, like in a regular array, you can't remove after you initialize the value to array, but in array list you can remove the or add anytime. and the data the type could be any type. It could be like mixed, like string, integer, character, all those things. So that's the benefit of the array list. So I'm going to create an object of this array list. So instead the array list is the class, right? So array list class. So new, same way we're going to declare, create an object of the array list class. So use the new, and then let's put a variable name data, and then type is same, right? The return type would be same, array list. So hover our mouse to import the array list is a part of Java util, right? Okay, util package. So here what I'm going to do, inside this array list I'm going to declare an object array, object array, because in an array list I have to anyways, like it will inside this array list I have to store. It can store multiple sets of data, right? So if I say object, if I just declare any object, if I declare object array, so object array will also help me. It's a one-dimensional array, will help me to save some store multiple data. So if it's saved multiple data, so instead of declaring here inside, I'm just going to store some data in object one-dimensional array. So it will ultimately have the multiple sets of data in array list, right? So it means I have to, this is a type, so I have to say the same thing here in array list. Sorry. Okay. What's wrong? New array list. Oh, sorry, I did something here. Okay, right? Oh, come on, right? Okay, still there is a my mistake. Right, so here now what I'm going to do, so this object, if I have the value for this object, you can see if you hover up there, you can see the class object is the root of the class hierarchy. Every class is object as a superclass. All object includes array. So you can see this about the object array. So in object array, I'm going to initialize now this object array. Oh, here is already code here. Sorry, when I copied, it's already here. So this is the initialize, okay, the object array, and then I put the value. So what's the value? The value is all this variable. Like all the variable, nothing is just about the information or data for this specific cell in this workbook, in this Excel workbook, right? The first name for this variable, first name. So if I say first name here, it's a first name here, right? So last name, so make sure you follow the pattern. Last name, email, phone number, and the course. So now this object obj is the variable, right? Variable for this one-dimensional array. So it has the knowledge about all these variables, and all these variables is nothing. It's all the data for this code, right? So if I say here is the data, now it's array list in. So all I need to just add, pass those data, all this data to this array list. How can I do? In array list, you can add or remove anytime data, using this object reference in your array list. What's my object reference? Is the data, right? Data dot, you can see there's all the methods that comes with the array list. It's called add. So you can add. What do you want to add? I want to add this obj, right? Obj, I can pass the obj here. So obj is nothing it's about the all all multiple datas, right? So it means now you have, if now this data have the, this data is nothing in this this object reference, which is referred to this array list. So it's now this which have and it has the OBJ knowledge. So indirectly you can say your array list have the knowledge about information about this, all this parameter, all this variable, right? So all I need to just return after, so this will go for one row. Since I run a loop, so it will continue like until the condition gets false, right? And when it's false at the end, I need to just return this object, so outside of the loop. So return data, return what? Data. So right, return data. Okay, yes, so return data. So now because the data have this variable have the knowledge about this object, right? Information, all this variable. So if I return this, it will be returned to my method. So what's my method? So my method is this, right? Inside this method everything is happening. So this method will have the knowledge about this data. Data means all the information about this, right? So the method return type have to be matched, because my data this variables, it has the return type, it has the type is it's object array, right? This object array, right? So it's not matching, but because I said when I create the method, I said the type is void, but it's returning different type of data, so that's why it has an error. So if you hover mouse, you can say change method return type to array list object. So now my method return type and I'm returning the data, the variable, its return type, and my method return type, it's the same, array object list, because my data, this variable's return type is this array list object, right? Good. So I hope you understood that part. So now all I need to call this this class, and inside this class the method over here, right? This method get data excel, call in this our actual class in get data method. So let's get back to here in my actual test class. Here in DataProvider, here I'm going to call that I'm going to call that method. So I need to call this method. So what's the call this class. Let's close this one now. So here, code inbox regression. Okay, here, right? So my class name. So I need to call this method. So I can call this method directly since the method is static. So I can call over here class name dot, what's the method name? Method name is get data from Excel. You see it's there. So I can call directly this, and I can put this one in a variable. Let's give a name, variable test values, right? And then it's what's the return type? Since this method return, this method type is array object, right? Array list object. So definitely it's returning, since I'm calling the same method and put in a variable, its variable return type should be the same as our method return type. It's array list object, right? Make sense? And then I will return this. So now this variable have the knowledge about this method, right? So if I just return this method, this variable like test values, and what I need to do, I have to, you can see, let me iterator, let me do this, then I'll explain you. So what I did, I'm saying return this variable. So because I call this get data method in my actual test method right here. So when you call this get data, it will come to over here and it will get this variable like test values, and what have the knowledge about this method. And this method is nothing about all the the values that we have the actual data sets we have in our Excel, right? So this method is the actual method have the knowledge about this Excel's the data inside this Excel, right? So that's the way we're getting the value over here, this test variable. So I'm saying I'm returning this test variable, so this method will have the knowledge about the test variables, and I need to iterate. It means it's a traverse because we have to traverse, where is this here? We have to traverse, right? So like for the first set, it will traverse, like it needs to the variable we have in this array, like first name, last name, email, phone number, course, right? So this will traverse this order, and then when the first loop is done, and then another loop will get increment, this variable will increment, and it will run again. So again it needs to traverse from the first name, get the value for the first name, and then it needs to move to the last names. How is going to move to the last names? So that's why we need the iterator. Iterator method is a method help you to traverse from one place to from one variable to another variable, right? So that's why we need to use, because it has the multiple values. These variables have the all sets of data, and all sets of data needs to traverse as long as it has the value, right? That's why we call the iterator method. So here still is a error. The reason why, because I'm returning this variable, test variables, and it has a return type this array list, but when I create the method, my method return type I said void, so it's not matching, right? So I have to change it. So let's change it. Okay, here we go. Looks good, right? So looks pretty good now. So, and here I already call this get data method here, and get data method now have the, it has the returning this test values. So for the test values have all the, here the test values have all the variables like first name, last name. So this first name, the value for this first name will pass to here the first name. This is the one, okay? And for the last name will pass, the actual value will pass to this variable, and eventually all the values you can see, the email, the actual, because this email is nothing this, right? And this email, it means this is the actual code, will get the actual value, actual data from this Excel. So it has the actual real data, and so I'm passing this one to here, this email address. So this email address will get the replacement value from the actual value from this email variable, right? So eventually the same. That's why you can see that the number of sets of variable you have over here, we have the same number sets of variable, or you can say parameter in this method. So after that, so now this all the variables, the parameters have the actual value, have the knowledge of the actual value from this Excel sheet, where I pass this one is over here. So it will have the first name, it will have the first name from this, like Shoreful, right? And then eventually last name, email address, phone number, and also the course or select, right? That's the way, and it will continue the loop, because it is iterator method we're using, and it will, and also here we're using the loop, right? That's the way it's supposed to work. So let's run it. All right, let's see if it works or not. Run it, TestNG. I mean, we can run from here, or we can run from the TestNG XML file too. Okay, it's launched the page. It's good. First name looks good. Phone number. So this is the first set of data, and then apply the closing tear down method to close that, and it's reopen another page. Okay, so looks good. Okay. Well, if you see the console, it's saying test run 3 but failure 3. Why it's fail? Let's see. What's it? Okay, failed registration from, okay, first and last time, okay. Oh, okay, failed registration test. You may only deselect option for a multi-select. Okay. Oh, okay, here it's saying at this select. Oh, did I use deselect? Oh, this is the method is using deselect, not the deselect. We're using select. That's why, right? So we'll select as, okay. Some reason it was a mistake. It was okay. Select by visible text, right? Select by visible text. So we're not deselecting, we're selecting, right? From here, the drop down, right? Static drop down, so we're selecting the value, right? So automation, if you go, and then here you can see, yes, Selenium automation, right? So we're using Selenium automation. So we're using the select text, right? You can use value even. Then you have to use this value. So I'm using text method, like select by visible text, and which is the course, right? So course is nothing. It comes from over here. What is the course? Course is here, and courses like this is the one. This is the one, right? So course here is course and passing. You can put the same variable or you can change the name. It's up to you. Okay. So but make sure you put this one the same over here, right? Okay, save it. Let's run it again. I mean, every time we are going to select the same drop down option, which is the Selenium course. Let's see, this should be okay. I mean, it was so quick, but I believe it was select the Selenium, but we'll see, you know, at the end we'll see in our console. Okay, this is the second set, John, right? You can see the second set John and third set Sunil Shah. Okay, Sunil Shah, you can see, okay. And now, yes, now you can see that total test run 3, failure 0. There's no failure, all pass. Okay, so this time, and you can see it's a pass. This is the first set, right? Selenium automation is selected, and second set also it's a Selenium automation. Third set, okay, all those things, right? So it's pass. So that's the way we're going to, you know, fetch the data from Excel. Using Apache POI, definitely that's another tool from the Apache that help us to get the data by using our this utility class. And again, you don't have to worry, go through in details about this class. It's already created, and I will, you know, it's I will add the URL for our Git repo so that you can get this class. It's already given in my previous tutorial too, but I will add over here again. So you don't have to worry, you just download and then you can use this class, and then use the Apache POI, all the jar tools, jar files, and then inject to import all the jar to your project, and then create your actual test class. And in the actual test class, so use your before method, use your test after method, and also your actual test method, where you will this is the directory, the path locator for all the objects, like your first name field, last name, all those things. But to get the data, we are getting the data from this method with the data provider annotation. And data provider annotation, the method is get data. This is the getting data from our general util class, and there is a method over here we created. So this is your general util class. You may have general method for other test cases. So all the methods, like for your different test cases, you can write over here and just call whenever you need. So that's why I give a name, this class name general util, and this is one of the method. Get data from Excel is the method that's help us to retrieve the data from our Excel sheet. Okay, I believe you understood. If you have any question, please comment in the below. I will try to explain you, give you the answer as my best capacity. Okay, thank you so much, and you have a good one. Bye bye.